buying behavior. So the first factor that affects the reasons why individuals make the decisions they do are cultural factors. We all know that to some extent, individuals buy products based on the culture. For example, the Ngoni, you wouldn't just buy that animal skin just to beautify yourself, but you would buy it based on the culture where you're coming from. Or for the Muslims, they would choose to segregate some type of things based on the culture they're coming from. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So when we talk about cultural factors, there are three subtopics on the cultural factors. The first is culture itself, and the second is subculture, and the third is social class. On the culture, there are three factors that affect human buying behavior. So the first is culture, the second is subculture, and the third is social class. So first of all, we are going to look at culture, and then we are going to look at subculture, and we will look at social class. So culture is one of the basic reasons why individuals buy the things that they do. Everyone belongs to a certain type of culture. So these are the things that we have grown up with. We have known them since we were young. And it influences the things that we buy. For example, there are other cultures that may not want to buy the things that your culture buys because it doesn't sit well with their culture. An example could be, can I find another one? This one is inappropriate. Okay. Okay, so when you are growing up as a child, individuals, they learn several types of values. They learn things from their cultures. As they are growing up, they tend to make decisions based on what they learned, based on how they have grown up. For example, if I have grown up in a Seventh-day Adventist household, a strongly Seventh-day Adventist household, that's what I mean. There are things that I will do and there are things that I will not do. Because I have been raised through those type of things. I will not drink, I will not wear trousers, no makeup, natural hair, long skirts, and everything, because that's how I was raised. No, I'm not giving my example. So, but I'm just explaining that the way you were raised as a child will influence the type of things you do. So that's how culture affects the decisions that people make. So when marketers are targeting individuals, they need to consider the culture where they're coming from. So they can design products or services that accommodate their culture, or that things that feel like they want of them. Does that make sense? Any questions on the culture before we go to the subculture? Okay, so the second is the subculture. Now, on the culture, we are looking at the Ngonis, the Lomwes, the Yaos. You see? The way people are raised in the villages. It doesn't really apply out here, but in the villages, it is strongly African. So then there's the subculture where now we are looking at the religions like church. How Catholics are raised different from Seventh Adventist members, or how Muslims are raised different from Christians. So these things need to be put into consideration. When you are marketing your product, you should understand who your customer is and also know where they're coming from. You will find that when marketing some products to a Muslim, they will find them offensive because their subculture doesn't allow them to accommodate such type of things. So that's the subculture. The culture is basically as a whole, where we have different cultures. As we know, the Lomas, the Yaos. Sometimes it's different countries where Malawi has different traditions than India. And then there's the subculture, which looks at the smaller departments, which differentiates individuals like churches and geographical locations, nationalities, racial groups. That makes sense? Or it's confusing? The subculture in the culture. Confusing? The culture is more like a big thing. Subculture falls under. So you know how we all have our culture as Malawians? You also have cultures as Zimbabweans. They do. Or you have a different culture in South Africa, right? You have a different culture. Well, you're South African, right? They say you're South African. They say that,
Yes.
right? Okay, so what differentiates Tapuja and Noel is where they've been raised. The things you have learned, Tapuja, are different from things you might have learned when you was young. So you grow up believing in certain types of values that you hold because of where your culture, where you're coming from. Now, under that culture, where the different values and all comes in now, the differences that that differentiate people in terms of religion, the race, things like those. We can all be Ngoni, but someone else is going to be Muslim or Christian.
That's culture.
Subculture.
Then culture.
That would explain that. To him. To everyone. Okay, to everyone. Everyone. To everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Culture is the big one. The culture is the small one. Culture. We can all be, what is it? Good. Yes. Like how in Malawi, you can all be Chewa, but in the Chewa culture now, this one is Muslim. This one is Secular. This one is Catholic. CCMP, what. So
It's a way you explain it.
Culture is referring to like the time how religion.
subculture.
Subculture is basically the churches, but then culture is referring to the
The things that
Or sometimes it can just be the values that the society holds. For example, when we catch a thief, we are going to beat him and kill him.
You,
I am talking about a society. They may choose to do that. But you'll find others who may be Christian and say killing is bad.
No, killing is better, just beating.
They will not tolerate that because their subculture doesn't allow it. So these type of things, they affect the products we buy, the products we use, the things we eat, how we look at the world. So that's culture and subculture. And the third is social class. I think we all know what social class. The third, social class.
levels.
So when we are looking at social class, we are now looking at how much people earn, their education.
That's the only.
So, okay, social class is not usually determined by one single thing. So it comes in different forms, but it accommodates things like your income, your occupation, the wealth that you have, your educational levels. So, you know, you buy things in terms of the social class you belong to. And what social class is that?
That's all.
Yes.
Get through, madam. Yes.
So you see, there are things like designer bags and these ordinary fake bags we all buy. So someone will not buy a fake bag because it doesn't fall in their social class. When they go out with it, they're going to be embarrassed. So they choose to buy the originals, which are way more expensive, and it is according to their income. So people will buy things according to the social class they belong to. The things that ministers will buy for their children, we can't buy for our children. The things ministers, yes, my children.
The children,
Not yet.
So that's the rush.
So that's what we mean by social class. If you think you belong to the rich, you buy things that associate with that class. So you see, you go to expensive dinners and go to expensive functions. You want to dress in relation to that type of class you're putting yourself into. So the things that you will buy will be in relation to the class you put yourself into. The people you associate with affect how much they affect things that you have. For example, if you move around with slave things, you always want to have the latest iPhone. And anyone with an Android phone is, I don't know what you call it. But you know what I mean. For example, Gertrude needs to walk alone. She has an iPhone in her friend's home.
yeah,
It's Android phone. So she belongs to her own social class. So you guys iPhone users, Gertrude is your guy. She's your guy. So that's what I mean. You get it? So that's culture. That's under culture. It falls into three topics, which is the culture itself, subculture, and social class. So these things, they affect the decisions that individuals make when they are buying products or services. They buy based on what the values that they hold, they buy based on the culture they come from, their religion, and also the social class that they belong to. Any questions on the culture? So the next factor that affects buying decisions is social factors. Social factors. So the behaviors of consumers is influenced by social factors such as the small groups that we associate with, and also family and social roles and status. Yeah.
So social factors and social class is the same.
Social class is usually based on how much you. While the social factors is the decisions that influence consumers based on the people you associate with. You could all come from different cultures, but you choose to associate with each other. Now, because we are associating with each other, we give each other ideas, we lie to each other sometimes, and it affects the things that we buy. It affects our behaviors towards certain products or services. Yes, you're all coming from different cultures, but you've come together and you sometimes lie to each other.
You, this one,
Which one?
she started eating pork. But she
The most, yes. Based, you started it because of your friends.
No, but like everything.
Okay, you made that decision because of your friends or family. Yours.
This one.
Because of my friend then.
Because of your friends. There it is. Social factors. The people that she associated with brought her mice to eat.
Umewahi kumauti kuona. Kama huwa njia gani? Unaona. Good girl.
you know, that's quite. I didn't
Also, it is not for eating.
But
So that is the social class. We are also going to look at how small groups affect behaviors. And then we'll look at how family affects consumer behaviors and social role and status. Social roles and status. So first of all, we are going to look at small groups. Sometimes people's decisions or the things that they buy are influenced by the individuals they associate with, like her eating pork. Your family knows? Exactly. The family doesn't know, but her friends know. The people she associates with have turned her against her culture. Okay, let's just say Nigel has turned her against her culture. Oh, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
So this type of relationships are called membership groups. So these are the relationships that we have with people that we interact with, and they affect the decisions that we make. For example, I choose to interact with people that do the things that I don't do. Over a period of time, I am going to start with making the same decisions as they do. For example, I choose to interact with people who drink, and I don't drink. Someday I'm going to choose to taste alcohol. And maybe I might just turn out to be a drunkard more than them. So these are called membership groups. When you start interacting with certain types of individuals, the decisions that you make are going to change. So marketers also need to keep in mind about these membership groups. So they can also know how the decisions of one is going to change towards those of the people that associate. And on the same part of small groups, there are also other groups called reference groups. Now these reference groups are more like role models. This is a group you don't belong to, but you wish you belonged to. So you start to dress a certain type of way just because you want to belong to that type of group. You eat things that a certain type of group eats because you want to belong to that type of group. So these small groups, they affect buyers' behaviors indirectly and directly. For example, the membership groups affect consumers directly, while the reference groups affect consumers indirectly. So if you have a role model and you're thinking of becoming like them, you also start to do the things that they do. But you don't belong to their group. You just want to be in that group. Does that make sense? Any questions? Justin, does that make sense? Okay. The next type of social factors that affects buying behaviors is family. Family. Like where you're coming from at home. Family. Your relatives. Your mother, your father. Family.
Family.
Oh, Okay, how does family affect decisions, consumer decisions? Yes. How does family affect consumer decisions? I'm trying to think, but I can't think. Justin, how does family affect the decisions that people make? How does family affect? Okay, so we have talked about how small groups affect decisions that people make in terms of the products they buy and the services they go for. So how does family also affect individuals this type of way?
Yeah. How does family?
No.
I'm just trying
Yes.
like I'll just put an example in my side, on my culture. It's in the Zulu culture. And, there are certain rules that are there maybe when a girl marries day, maybe certain family, there are some things that they are not allowed to do, and there are also some things that they're supposed to do.
Give examples.
As you said, some are not allowed to wear like jeans,
Trousers.
and trousers, sort of thing.
Okay, any other idea to talk on that? Yes.
Okay, I think family, like some families, they don't allow their relatives to get to buy some stuff like eating for other family, they still family and the person. No, so it's an example.
Ah, I take it for some time.
But your family doesn't allow.
I didn't tell you.
This is more.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think some people go for products which they don't just go against their relatives.
Okay, so most of us learn things from families. I think that's the basic place where we learn the things that we hold dear today. We do, at some point, we do go against our families because we also have to make personal decisions. But families affect the things that we do. I may choose to hide from my family today, but that most of the things that I do are influenced by the choices that have been taught by my father or by my mom. So these families, they affect the products that we buy. For example, the products that a husband will buy for a wife, or the role of the wife in the family, they are going to affect things that they buy. To some extent, we buy things to satisfy our couple and our partner. Yes, you will buy things to satisfy your partner.
Yeah.
You seem more interested.
No one.
Okay, so the families that we belong to will teach us the things that we're supposed to buy and the things we're not supposed to buy. For example, other families, depending on how much they earn, they will buy anything they can buy. For other families, they have to go for necessities. So they teach their children the things they need to do and the things they need not to do. And as you grow up, you end up buying things based on what your family wants. For example, a family that chooses to buy these guys, the Indians, they like to buy the big cars. Like the Noahs, the ones that have more space, because they have bigger families. So they are buying that particular car to accommodate every household member. And for those individuals who have smaller families, they may choose to buy a small car, like a Hitz.
Like me,
Yes, like a mirror, so you can accommodate your two children and your husband or wife. So these are some of the things that affect buying decisions. You can market a certain product to one type of family and they tell you that this doesn't sit well because we have a big family. And, or for example, I could give yogurt. We have those big containers, just one container, and the small ones, the ones kids usually have, the one that has 6. Yes, that one. So that one would be good for a family that has more children because they can distribute it equally. So they would go for a product that is in small quantities so they can make sure that everyone has it. Does that make sense on family? And the last on social factors is roles and status. Role and status. So most individuals belong to organizations and clubs. For example, the Lions Club. Lions Club. People will choose to buy things based on the role they have in the community. For example, the MPs and the ministers, they buy things based on the roles they have. So, for those individuals who don't have roles, maybe this is not hard. But in these communities, they affect the decisions that you make as an individual. You look at the role that you have, maybe it's being husband or being the head of the family, so you have to make certain types of decisions because of the role that you have in a family or because of the role that you have in a community. These decisions may affect people like the kings, the men in the families. They have to buy certain products so they can feed the family. But they can't buy other things because if they make that type of decision, it's going to affect the family as well. Or if they make such a decision, it's going to affect the community. So that's how roles and status affect decisions. We can go on. The third factor is personal factors. So we have looked at cultural factors, we have looked at social factors, and the third is personal factors. So a buyer's decision can also be influenced by the age and life cycle stage. It can also be influenced by occupation, like where you work. It can also be influenced by economic situation. Now these are personal factors. It can also be influenced by lifestyle. And personality. So these personal factors are things that are inside you, like the things that make you as a human. They affect the decisions that you make. For example, the first is age and lifestyle cycle. So this part where there's the age and lifestyle cycle, the things that we used to buy when we were young are not the things we can buy now. When we were young, we would want to buy sweets. Okay, we still eat sweets till today, but balloons, probably. Okay, yeah, we would want dolls, and you guys would want these car toys. So these are the things that we would want when we were young. But now that we're growing up, our needs are changing. We have things like puberty that causes us to change. So since we we are changing day and day. We also have new needs. I will not want to buy what? A door? Or those plastic cooking materials. Yes, those are kitchen sets. I will not want to buy those things. I will want to go for bigger things. For example, I will want to buy a normal kitchen set where I can cook, I can bake, and do anything else. So the stage in which a human is affects the things that they buy. They will buy things according to the age that they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Precious, okay? And the other is occupation. So occupation, we have Malawi and Misses. I think they are what? They are famous for the Crocs that they buy, the shoes, Crocs. That
My books. My books.
okay, yes, Jimbabwe. So the things that people buy are also dependent on the occupation that they have. They'll buy things for their work, or if they don't even have time for their personal life, they won't even bother buying most of the things. So there are other companies who mainly focus on selling things for such type of individuals who are willing to buy things for their occupation. So I believe that there are companies that just prefer to make nursing homes or the beds that we find in the hospitals. So the occupation that you have will also affect the things that you buy. Like a nurse who will always buy Zimbabwe and not buy normal shoes. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions, guys? So all these things we're looking at are just things that affect consumers. They affect the decisions that individuals make. As you're getting older, you will tend to understand that some of these decisions are made based on the things that are surrounding you. The things that you do every day, the people you associate with, and also how you think. So that's why we have the culture, we have the social factors, we have personal factors, and we have the psychological factors. So for personal factors, we are looking at the things that are surrounding you as a human being. How you view yourself, how you think about yourself. And then there's the economic situation, where people will buy based on how much they have. They'll buy based on the interest rates and how much the thing is, the price of the product or service. And then we have lifestyle. How does lifestyle affect buying decisions? Lifestyle.
Everything's according to their lifestyle. For example,
Leave Jacob, leave her alone.
what are you wearing? Wearing.
Okay, fine, explain.
Okay, people buy things according to their lifestyle. For example, For example, for example,
Malaka.
continue now.
Awesome.
Innocent. Lifestyle.
Go. Patrick.
No.
People buy things according to the way that it is. For example, you can't, a bachelor cannot buy like a big TV.
Others do.
Okay, but then, okay, you say they cannot buy a king size bed twice they live alone, and then the house is also small.
What?
Not to conceive.
Remove the phone, they want.
Nobody buys something.
I gone. Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay, for example, someone wearing what? For example, the culture, likes to wear shorts. That's part of his lifestyle.
The shorts he wears.
So, yeah, you always want to buy shorts.
Okay, any other idea? More. I can tell you. We are talking about lifestyle. So lifestyle is how individuals live every day.
Yeah, also, it also comes to the environment that we live
Okay, in what way? Because you can choose to live a fancy lifestyle in a bad environment.
in. Okay, you cannot,
You can find a better house in Dundee.
but madam,
Yes, I am.
okay, look, madam,
Yeah.
the house, but then the environment there it might be crowded with thieves, because everyone there is a thief. In their day,
Not
buying
everyone.
So I'm just making an example, it's not that I'm saying that you can't do that, but it's just an example. You cannot be bringing value of food place, once you know that there are thieves there, once you don't even have a car. You know.
Okay, fine. Yes, the lifestyle that you want to live, you can also choose where to live. But that's all dependent if you have money.
Also, if you have money, what can you do?
Nigel, any idea? Any comment? Okay, so that's lifestyle. The lifestyle that you want to live will influence the things you want to buy. Just so you can accommodate those things. No, speak that. Okay, so we are on personal factors. We have looked at lifestyle, and the other is personality and self-concept. Personality. What is personality? Explain it. Do not just yeah, what is personality?
Explain.
Nigel. What is personality?
These are the characteristics of
That you what?
that an individual is.
The These are
Qualities.
qualities. Okay, yeah, that's personality. So how does personality affect the things that you buy? Personality is basically how you see yourself. The things that need you. So how does that affect decisions? Yeah?
For example, let's say I,
Mm.
she's a good kid, no business.
Innocent.
And then
Mm.
when before she decides to buy something, she has to think of how expectations and then what will people think and how will people see it.
She saw the
Okay, so I do you care about how people
What feeling, what feeling, madam, you
How did you know?
yeah.
Are you going to
These
try
are the
that?
kids.
It's good to be good feeling.
What's feeling?
Okay, so patience. How does personality affect the things that you buy and the decisions that you make?
For example, let's say
Okay, processing is over.
for example, you want to say you sell food,
You sell what?
and you're not hygienic, and I don't think people will buy food from you because you don't have.
Okay, so that's on a seller's perspective. What about on the buyer's perspective? The personality of a buyer.
But
Yes?
A consumer or a buyer cannot buy something that's out of your personality. Like we were saying about Ivy. Ivy, she's always very low dressed, low skirt. She cannot go and buy mini skirts or shorts. Well, that's not her personality.
she can buy no matter how
Ivy,
wow.
she puts the
So I believe we all understand how personality does that make sense, guys, and personality? The last part is psychological factors. Psychological factors. So psychological factors are things to do with the way you think. It's all in the head. You buy things, I don't know. So on psychological factors, there are 4 factors. The first is motivation. 4 factors, which one? Motivation, the first is motivation. And then there is perception. Motivation, perception. Then there is learning. Learning, yes, like what we're doing now. And beliefs and attitudes. The first 2, motivation and perception. motivation? Lorraine, what is motivation?
To be encouraged.
To be encouraged? Gertrude, what is motivation? To be encouraged. Anyone else?
The willingness to do something.
The willingness to do something. Okay, so there are some more educated individuals who decided to come up with a pyramid of motivation. So these are the levels to which someone is being motivated. So they say that an individual will do something unless a need is satisfied. So let's say the first part is where someone wants to satisfy the human basic needs, which are food, shelter, clothing. And once that's satisfied, they are going to have another need. And once that one is satisfied, they'll also have another need. So what they're trying to say is a person is motivated to do something when their needs are satisfied. For example, someone is motivated to come to school and learn when they are not hungry. Not hungry. Food. Need to eat. So after you have learned, you want to associate with other individuals because you can't be alone in this world. So the things that we buy are based on the level of need that we have. Okay, I'm just going to draw the pyramid of whatever and explain it better. Okay, so they say we have different types of needs. So there's that pyramid. The pyramid. So down here there is physiological needs, and then the safety needs. Social needs. Esteem. Needs and self-actualization needs. So I think at some point you are going to learn this thing. It's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You're going to learn about it properly. But now to explain the motivation part, we can look at that. So they say that individuals have, this is the first part of needs that individuals have. So these physiological needs include things like the clothes, the food, the shelter, love, all that here. So what you want, what a human needs, first of all, is to satisfy these needs. You cannot go to this need if you haven't eaten or if you're not dressed. So what people want to do is they want to satisfy their need of clothing, they want to satisfy their need of food. So that's what motivates individuals. After they have eaten, they will look for another need, which is a need of safety. So they will want to be safe. Whether in a country or in a community, they will want to be safe and they want to be protected, so they can hire guards or have an fence where you feel protected or safe in your environment. Then once this safety need is satisfied, you have the social need. Now you are coming out of your house, your comfort zone, you want to associate with people because you can't be alone. Once you have associated, you have found friends who have associated with you, you have to satisfy the esteem needs. Now these esteem needs are you trying to find some self-esteem, to feel good about yourself. That's how individuals feel motivated. And then there's the last need, which is self-actualization needs. I hope that makes sense. But that's what brings about motivation. So motivation is what drives you to do everything that you do. To buy something, you need to be motivated. So you have to make sure that those needs are satisfied. You buy your products or services to satisfy the level of need that you have at that particular moment. Does that make sense?
So its name is called the
It's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow. You will learn about it, don't worry about it. I have no idea. But you will learn about it as you go high. So what this hierarchy of needs means is that they say that you are not what you do at a particular time is something that you do to satisfy a need that you have. So the first needs that people have are basic needs, which are physiological needs. The things that we talked about, the clothes, the food. What you buy at that moment in time is you're buying clothes to cover yourself, you're buying food so you're not hungry. That is the need that you have at that point in time. So what is motivating you to buy food is the physiological need. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's about motivation. So you are motivated to buy something because of a need that you have. Those are what? Psychological factors. And the next is perception. What is perception? Judith. Yeah? Someone was saying something. You know what? Okay, Judith, what is perception? Anyone who knows what perception is? Patience. What is perception?
Someone is right and doesn't have the password, so maybe can. Perception.
Yes, perception.
That you see it,
What?
that you see or become aware of something.
Not really. Yeah. After him. Accepting what?
What's the question, man?
Rain after rain. I'll tell you.
How one use something?
How one views something. What is perception?
The way you
So, patience, say the ability to see.
Yes.
Okay, see as the physical seeing or
Sensing something.
okay. That is perception. How you view something. Yeah, it's somewhere. It's some. You can't actually see perception. It's something that you feel. You have feelings about a certain product. So there are things you can't buy because you have a negative view of them. Not because they have done anything wrong to you, but you just have a negative view. For example, I don't eat pork. Not that pork has done anything wrong, but my perception towards it is just,
But it is something.
yes, it has demons.
They want to humans.
So that's why, that's perception, how you view something. I believe there are some products you tell yourself that this I cannot use. That's just how you view them. You have never used them before, they have never done anything wrong to you.
Just an example. When you did.
Okay, so that's perception. You choose not to buy some products because of how you view that product. There must be at some point something that happened that gave you a negative opinion about the product. Even if you decide to make it better, you just can't buy it. For example, someone would always prefer a Mercedes-Benz over a BMW.
Yes.
Because it's their perception. And there are other people who, no matter whatever happens, they will always choose a BMW. Because they see the better features of a BMW over a Mercedes-Benz. What do you mean? Sorry? We are almost done. This is the last one.
That's 2 hours.
Yes.
Just teach us the next week's lesson.
I should teach you on there, right?
Yes.
I take the time.
Yes.
Next week is the way we have exercise. No, that's what we say.
Do you not? Computer.
You know, I was about to go is a visit from a
You don't got to listen to it.
Because you are trying to finish the course outline.
man, when you go, it's I see what from the room.
I do. Then the other day, I said my Okay, so the third part is learning. And then learning. The third part about psychological factors is learning. We have looked at motivation, we have looked at perception, and then there is learning. So when we talk about learning, we are now talking about human experiences, the things you have experienced.
So,
The things you have experienced. So you learn from experience. That's what they say. You learn from experience. So you know what product. For example, you decide to buy a bar of soap, and you react to it. You know next time not to buy that particular bar of soap because you reacted. So you have learned from the experience you have with certain product or certain service. Okay, so yeah, that's what most people do. Whenever they react to something, to a product or service, they choose not to buy it. So that's learning. It deals with the experience you had towards a certain product or service. Does that make sense? Sometimes you buy products based on the things you are learning now. For example, you should hear that Chebe powder is good for natural hair. Chebe powder. The ladies would know.
Yes, that one is good.
So chebe powder, you learn that chebe powder is good for natural hair, and you decide to buy it because you have just learned about it. You have learned about its benefits. So that's learning. And the last part is beliefs and attitude. What's attitude?
so
Patience. What's attitude?
Reaction towards something.
A reaction towards something. Judith? You do have attitudes sometimes, I believe. So can you explain what attitude is? Yeah,
How you feel towards something.
it's almost the same thing as perception, but it's different. So the attitude that you have towards certain product or certain service is going to affect if you're going to buy that thing or not. So when we are talking about the things that affect consumer behaviors, there are 4 parts. The first is the cultural part. This is related to how we've been raised, the values that they have installed in us. The second part is the social factors. Your decisions are affected by the individuals you associate with and the places you go to. That makes sense? The third part, personal factors, things that you value on your own. You make decisions based on those things. And last is about psychological factors, the things that are in your head, things that you think. How you look at something, how you view a certain product. So next week we are going to look at 2 things.
see,
Hmm?
see my next week.
No. Next week we are going to look at types of buying decision behaviors and the buyer decision process. So next week we'll also look at the exam studies. So that's